Good Labor Day afternoon to you. Well, I made some video clips of the Navy oscilloscope, but I never put them on YouTube. One of my viewers asked me how I was doing with that. I did successfully get it working. I felt that probably so many people are maybe getting tired of seeing one particular thing being worked on, so I didn't really upload it, but I'll probably give you a little highlight video here of it and some explanations as to how I achieved it. I got the Zener diode in, but after about 10 or 15 minutes running, the intensity started going dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, like you turn the intensity control down. It did bring up the display nice and bright in the beginning. So something is changing in there and I cannot find what it is, so I had to use that 10 megohm resistor from the control grid of the CRT to the chassis. When I did that, everything's working fine. There are some issues in the scope. It's in the plug-in. The plug-in is frozen in the scope in the back, corroded or something. I could take a plastic pen and just gently touch some wires in the plug-in and the trace jumps all over the place. So there is an issue, but I can't get in there to correct it. Not without busting out the connector, trying to force that plug-in out. So I left it alone. I adjusted it the best I can. So I'll show you a few clips on that. And I don't want to bore anybody too much with one particular thing. So I'll show you a little bit of it. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to give you this last update on this scope here. It's supposed to rain today, so I'm back in the shop again. I got it working, but it's very, very changeable. Now, I'm going to show you in the schematic here. If you remember the last video I made about the scope with the update, that I had when I used the VTVM, and it brought the trace to life, and I had decided to put a 10 megohm resistor from the grid of the CRT to chassis. It brought the scope to life. Okay, well, I got the Zener diode in, the 200 volt Zener diode, and the screen came to life. It was great. I says, oh good, I don't need to use that resistor. Well, as the scope ran, I kept losing brightness, gradually going down and down and down, but it took like 10-15 minutes. First thing you know, I had absolutely no trace on the screen. And I says, oh great. So I took the 10 megohm resistor and I put it on clip leads and put it to the grid of the CRT to ground. I got my trace. And let me show you where I put that resistor on the schematic here. Right here. From the grid to the chassis. 10, not 10K, 10 meg. Did I say 10K? I meant to say 10 meg. Alright. And that's fine. Now I got my trace and it stays there and it doesn't fade out. I checked all these resistors again. Everything's fine. As far back as I can tell, diode and everything here is all fine. So I don't see any problem. But something is making this go into cutoff and fade out. Something's changing. I don't know what it is. So it's the best I can do. This thing is giving me a real head-scratching experience here. Resistor's in. It's back in the cabinet. I got the handle on. I got lubber plate underneath here, the white lithium grease. Put the screws back in. And this is the inspection cover. You just give half turns on this and you take this off and you can change your fuses. What bothers me is this thing changes a lot. I cannot get the DC balance to work on the volts per division. When I change it, on this range here, it's fine. You can see it changes the amplitude, which you want. But now let's give you a straight line here. Let's change over. Okay. Now, you see that still moves? But I go to the next range. The best I can do, though. I mean, I played around with both these controls, and I still don't know what EF balance is. I still do not have an answer for that. So I have no idea, but that's very, very sensitive. I even sprayed some deoxide in there, but I do know one thing. I can't get this plug-in out. It will not come out. And just touching the wires with my pen, very, very gently in the plug-in inside, somewhere in the plug-in, just touching it makes this go up and down. Okay? So something is loose in the plug-in, but I can't get the plug-in out. So I'm going to have to live with this. On this range here, which is 1 volt per division, it's fine. Hardly moves at all. But I can't get it compromised. There's a certain procedure, and this book don't tell me, or if it does, I can't read the print on it. There's DC balance and EF balance, whatever that is. Electronic focus? I have no idea. But anyways, it affects it greatly. So something is loose in the plug-in. So sometimes I'll get a little instability and the trace will bounce like this. It moves. Another thing too is when I first fired this scope up, it changes so much. When I first fired this scope up, it was fine this morning. It was very unstable. As it took about 10-15 minutes before it stopped moving in the horizontal. I turned the brightness down before it stopped moving. All right, and I ran my signal generator, actually my function generator, in here, and I set my leader, which was calibrated by Mike, to 1 volt per division and less, and compared. This was going to be my standard. I set this for 1 volt per division, and I got the 1 volt per division exactly on here. I set this to 1 volt per division, as close as I can read it. And here's the scale. I finally put the bulb in. The bulb was burned out. This is number 47. I got 1 volt per division on this. All the ranges on this jive with the leader. So it doesn't need calibration. If it does, it needs a little bit of it. Let me see if I'm in. All right. And I still get more brightness on here. That changes. Sometimes it's perfect, other times it isn't. And I noticed it more when I used that resistor in there. But if I take that resistor out, it'll start out with a trace, and about 10 minutes later, it'll start fading out, just like you took and turned the brightness down. It'll fade out and out until it goes away completely, and no matter where you turn this brightness, it will not come up. So right now, she's good and strong. Got to get this kind of a knob here. Get some light on here. See these pie-shaped knobs here? Okay. I need one for here. This is very hard to turn. I need a pair of pliers. I had these gray knobs with 1/8" shafts and 2 tiny Allen set screws. I had these in my junk box from surplus somewhere. They're perfect because the red ones are on here broke. 2 of the red ones are broke and I changed it. So I got 3 of these, but I also added one here. And this is the horizontal mode. You might be able to see it without the light, I don't know. I'm trying to give you some light. I'm in a kind of a shaded area, but looking at the camera, you can. It looks like it's clear enough and bright enough. All right, this is the sweep mode. This is very hard to turn. I called Fair Radio Sales Friday? Yeah, Friday. Saturday, we went out to the Brooklyn Fair, so I didn't do anything Saturday. I called Fair Radio Sales. They have these scopes. And the woman says, just a minute, I'll let you talk to somebody. I waited, I was on my cell phone. I waited 5 minutes on the phone and I hung up. Nobody came to the phone. Dead silence. I don't know how they run their business over there. It must be a one-man operation. And there's a woman that answers the phone. So, all right. I get a telephone call back. Did you call? I said, yes, I did, but might have got disconnected. I don't know what happened. All right. So I explained what I wanted. I says, I need these pie-shaped knobs. There's 2 of them on that scope, and I gave the model number of the scope, which is OS 106C/USM-117. Okay? And she says, yes, we've got some over here that they weren't able to fix. So I don't feel so bad that I can't fix this properly. Anyhow, he says he's got the knobs and they give me a price. Okay, she put the guy on the phone, and he's the one that knows about it. He says, "Oh, I'll take a look." The phone went dead silence, no music in the background, nothing. 7 or 8 minutes I was on dead silence, and I said, "What the hell's going on with these people?" I hung up, and I gave up on them. So what I'll probably do is write them, like I used to do. I used to deal with fair radio sales back in the 60s, in the early 60s, 1962 and 63. I used to buy a lot of surplus from their catalogs I used to get in the mail. I was subscribed to them, and those are the days you can send a money order and pay for your order. So I'm going to write to them, take a photo of this scope, and I need 2 of these pie-shaped knobs, because the pie-shaped knob goes here. It was missing, and I put these small knobs on. I had 4 of these, and I can't just about turn it. Okay? All right. Now it's on X5. Now, I don't know what X5 is. Times 5? Man, that's hard, because that's not the right kind of knob for this. The pie shape will give me more leverage. So I need 2 pie shapes, and I'll be in business. So, but I tried the horizontal gain, and I think, well, even moving the horizontal gain, look at this. I really need a service manual on this, because the book I got is useless. Fair Radio Sales has the book. It's probably the same thing I downloaded. But they want $27 for it. It's not worth it. This is only a 5 megahertz scope. Good enough for audio. I only paid $10 for it. I don't have a lot of money into it. I don't want to put a lot of money into it. I can't clean this control properly because it's very hard to turn. But you can see the instability on the horizontal too. There seems to be a lot of instability on this scope. And the low voltage power supply is rock solid. No movements whatsoever. But I do know the instability for the vertical is in the module. Something's loose in here and I can't get the module out. I can turn this out and it's hooked, it's frozen in the back. It's corroded into the connector. And you'd literally bust out the connector getting it out, and then I got nothing. So anyways, so that changes. Changing that horizontal, that's not supposed to do that. I got a vertical, the reason I got a vertical line is because I have a signal going in here. If I take it out, oh, now I lost my, that's weird. That's weird. Just moving this control here up and down. All right, that's my side-to-side motion. A stigmatic is supposed to be adjusted for perfect round. What I need to do is get my magnifier here. Okay, focus. All right, so right now I'm supposed to be sweeping. So I lost my sweep. Hey, I know what happened. I have this set on trigger too much. It goes over there. Okay, now we get it back over. All right. Triggering, apparently, I had this set. See, when you turn this down, it'll shut it down to a dot. Okay. All right, so I need to keep this all the way to the right. Okay, so that explains why I've been getting that phenomena. But now I got a dot at 5x. But I don't know what the 5x is. To me, that's 5 times the magnification, but I got a dot. But you can see that moves. I just got a dot there because I got no signal coming in here. I just took the... I just turned the scope off. I got no signal coming in here, so you're going to get a dot. So I would imagine the horizontal gain will work when I put a signal into here, and I haven't tried that yet, and get my gain adjustment through here. So, man, it's hard. Okay, so I got my sweep here. But as you can see, I've got nothing faded out on this. What does happen is my baseline changes because there's a lot of drift. And turning the volts per division, see, don't move it now too much because I adjusted this as much as I could. But there's got to be a certain procedure at which to do this. There's probably a sequence. And I don't know the sequence of that. Like I said before, I'm used to using oscilloscopes with only one DC balance for each channel. This has one because this is not a dual channel plug-in. It is and it isn't. It's switchable. You can have one or the other, but not both. So there's only one DC balance for this because it's only a single trace scope. You will not get 2 traces on this scope, even if you have 2 signals coming in, because you got a switch. You got DC on this, coupling, AC coupling on this, AC coupling on this one, and DC coupling on this one. That's what you've got. And you see there's no changes when you turn that. That's solid. So right now I've got it, but there is something, like I say, there is something loose in there. But I got it. It's pretty stable now, and when I turn the brightness down, it's still brighter here. You probably can't even see that very faintly. You can see me more than anything else. But if you look and turn the brightness down, see it. This is the last to go out. Alright, we got the problem with the brightness here, but there's nothing I can do about that. I have no idea why. But anyways, I'm going to move this trace over this way a little bit. I want to show you something. That's irritating. And I don't know why that is bright like that. But if I turn this brightness up in order to see it better, you got another trace rolling in the back. Can you see that? It's almost like there's no blanking, like the old-fashioned scopes. But if you turn it down just a little bit, you still get this, but you don't see that other rolling trace in the back. Turn it down until it's completely gone, and you get your sine wave. I've got 205 kc, I think, something like that, going into the scope. But this is supposed to be the trigger but it really doesn't lock in. And I really this don't seem to do anything either. This control right here. This is a line sync. It's, it's still rolling. It doesn't seem to do anything. So we start out at line, internal line. Let me just make sure I'm reading this. No, line. I'm sorry. I got rotten eyesight. This is the internal. This is line sweep. Okay. That's internal plus and minus. Well, that seems to do something there. All right, let's see if we can... We can't really lock it in. It's not like perfect. It's moving a little. And now we've got DC plus, DC minus. None of it seems to do any good. It doesn't seem to lock in on anything. No matter where I put this. I don't think the triggering's working. And if you take this control and set it to preset, this is free running here, where it's set now. If you turn this to preset, there's nothing. There's nothing. Trace disappears. And no matter where you move these controls, the vernier here, or the time base, nothing. So that's pretty useless. You got to leave this on free run, and then you'll get it. If you turn the brightness up, you'll get that back waveform in the background. Okay, I just put the function generator on square wave, and it certainly doesn't look good, and it's certainly not stable, and it's doing crazy things here. Okay, I had a bad probe I was using, some old junk probe I got years ago. That's why the waveform was all screwy. I'm getting my square wave here on the leader. So let's go over, let's take this probe and bring it over to the Navy scope here. So I got my good probe connected to my function generator up there. And as you can see, I'll turn the gradical down. We got a good waveform, except I can't seem to lock it in. There don't seem to be any sync action here whatsoever. No, it seems to be... You can stop it, but there don't seem to be an actual lock-in. You just have to gently, it's freewheeling. Now, this is down to sweep, but everything else, like I say, this is real hard to turn here. This is the only function. Everything else gives a dot. Well, that don't. Okay. That just magnifies it. Okay. All right, so that one is sweep. That one just gives the dot. And the reason you got two dots is because we're getting a signal in here. If I just switch it off, you'll just get your one dot. Okay. Now that the scope has been running for quite a while, I don't have too much of a variance here. I do have it, but not quite as much. But to keep it on sweep, that's really the only way you can do it. But I guess I can live with this. And again, if you turn the brightness too high, you get the other waveform in the back. But if you leave it like that, it should be okay. But it is very unstable. So I got to replace this knob too, because it's got a crack in it. You can probably see that. So I got to replace that knob. So I'm going to write to Fair Radio Sales and see if I can get both of these knobs. Maybe you can quote me a price back on it. I think I'll do better with the mail than rather than the phone. And this calibrator here, I was experimenting with that. I can get my signal out of there, but it's not a square wave. And when I flip this switch here, watch what happens. It modulates what's in there. See? So it's not supposed to do that. You're supposed to get the calibrator out of this BNC here. And it shouldn't be going in any other way, but I don't know. Alright, I think we discussed this long enough here. I got to do a lot of editing on this because some of my clips were taken without having the camera on macro. So, I'm just going to live with it. I don't know why it don't lock in. And there's no way I can service that. And I'm going to have to live with this brightness the way it is. Because I need that resistor in there. It's the only way it's going to work. Otherwise, the display just fades right out after being on for a while. And I can't find anything wrong. I tried freeze spray in there. It affects some things, but I can't isolate the problem. So the biggest issue was the instability in here. And this plug-in will not come out. It is locked right in there. So I think we're going to just end the video now. We're going to shut everything off. And that's it on this scope. If I can get a manual, that's better than what I got. Fine. If not, we'll just, at least it's working. Not the way I like it, but it is working. So that's it. Thank you for watching.